What's good, what's poppin', what's hood, what it is, what it do, what's up. And you are now watching Keepin' It a Bean, your only podcast in Philadelphia that keeps it a bean, 100, 1,000, 520s, wait, I can't do math. 10 10s and 25s, keeping it a bean. And you already know what I'm listening to. This is LindoYes.
I don't know why either. I'm sorry. I was trying to do like this. I could not back down at all. I said I feel like you're challenging me in this moment to stand on business. You're right. You know, that was my toxic masculinity.
We're never too far from the patriarchy.
Shut up from the patriarchy. All right, y'all. So welcome back to another episode of Keepin' It a Bean. Keepin' It a Bean is the podcast that brings together culture and commentary all over a cup of coffee, but it's a little late at night, so we're going to be drinking some tea, okay? If you are new here, my name is Marquise Davon, but never call me Mark. Don't ever do it in your life. Don't gentrify my name. I feel like this is in your face.
It is. I wanted to lower it, but I didn't want to showcase that.
That might be how you like it.
Yeah, you got. I think this is as low as it goes. I'm not gonna hold.
Oh, damn! I'm just.
We gonna. You know what? Then we're gonna do this, and look at y'all watching mid-episode how this is going to function.
Look at that. That's conflict resolution.
Very much so, sir.
Between two black men.
This is a community. How we all work together.
Huh? Okay, but it's authentic. It's keeping it a bean. It's keeping it 100. Authenticity is the case over here.
Hold on. This is gonna bother me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the way is, you feel me?
Should just go that way. Boom.
Yeah. There we go.
You still hear us, all right? We can see your face. There we. You said what? Why did you say that? That's crazy.
Well, we don't need to do that.
We don't got to do that. That's fine. I swear these straight ones just be gaying them out. Anyway, so on another note, we're going to get started with this podcast. Obviously, if you are looking at these lovely faces, that means you are watching us here on YouTube. So please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and that notification bell. Bing! Right there. Thank you so much. You don't have, remember, you have a hooping right now, Kavon, not a regular stud. It's too chalant. I need something a little bit more nonchalant. I got you. All right, so obviously you're watching some lively faces on YouTube. However, if we are your happy Monday morning drive, then please make sure to hit that rate and review on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, or just bounce between both apps and just give me that rate and review, because that helps podcasters show up on different platforms, but also the algorithm will put us in conversation with other like podcasts too. So please, that information is very, very necessary for me to be successful. Thanks. Hey, y'all.
What's good?
It's so good to see y'all. Yes. You have made it. One, we have a returning guest. So you have seen Enoch before. Y'all got on him about his hot take about Western versus non-Western. Storytelling.
That's because people not good listeners.
That's exactly because I said you didn't listen to the entire thing.
Because I definitely specified what I was talking about.
You very much so did.
You know,
I said, nah, he had to get my lick back.
Yeah, it's all good.
I don't want no smoke.
If you don't
cut
this shit out.
Keep it chill in the comments. I'm here for peace, positivity, and love.
You know what? I love that so much, truly and honestly. And so, obviously, y'all have seen Enoch before. Enoch, such a great interview, such a great time. Thank you and welcome back. However, Lindo.
I'm here.
Good sir, good brother. How you living?
I'm living good. I'm great right now. I'm in great spirits. I'm smiling, y'all.
I got an A1 smile. Stop playing. Okay.
I try. I go to the dentist like twice a year.
Oh. Wow.
Black men in healthcare.
Oh my God.
Okay, stop playing. Good sir. Welcome to the space. Welcome to the show. Please quickly introduce yourself, because I know you as a poet. Mm-hmm. I know you as a speaker. And honestly, low-key, he be dipping into politics, too. Oh, and what I realized tonight is he's actually a wonderful magician, because he really really, I was shook. I was in disbelief. It didn't make no sense to me. But I guess that's what magic's supposed to do. That's what magic's supposed to do. So welcome to the show, good sir.
I'm here. You said all the things I was going to say. I don't need to introduce myself. No further introduction. I've already been introduced.
And it was already said. Oh, your name is Linda. Yes, thank you. Yes.
I mean, look, I could knock the wind out of a hurricane. You know what I mean? I'm out here.
I love that so much. Dog, but it's not only that, though. I'm super excited to get into this conversation because you're both writers. You are two creatives. Y'all both have something to say, which is so exciting to see, like, within the work that y'all are doing. And I cannot wait because something I really, really love wordsmiths. I love people who are impeccable with their word. I love people who understand how language works and can evoke emotion. And I'm so excited to kind of like learn more about your processes and whatnot, but also similarities and overlaps, but also differences on how you both approach your art form, especially because y'all share an art form. And I think that's going to be really exciting.
Share 2 art forms.
Oh, actually, though, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's 2. Yeah, so I'm super excited.
3.
Oh, I don't know what the third one
We
is.
both educators.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's an art form.
Shout out to the educators on this podcast.
Yeah.
We winning. Okay.
Are you just light-skinned me?
Whoa.
Oh,
I always
man.
thought of myself as brown skin. I discovered something today.
Whoa.
This is very fascinating to me.
You have said you was colorblind before.
Damn.
You know what? I'm not going to hold because it was a conversation our staff had and like one of our staff members is your complexion and said, I'm brown skin. I said,
Okay, I'm here. I'm here.
You're on the light side of brown. We're going to go with that.
The Nile is a river.
Look, I'm
You know what
not.
I'm saying?
Okay, shout
I'm
out
not
to Doji.
denying. That was.
She did just win a Grammy.
I'm just here trying to vibe.
Welcome
I'm
to the
present.
space.
I don't want no smoke.
Welcome to the show. You fit right on in. We're going to get started. And something that we do every single episode is the Keepin' It a Bean segment. Keepin' It a Bean is where you keep it 100. This is your most authentic hot take, whether it's personal, pop culture, politics, whatever you need to get off your chest. This is where you get to do it. So, you are the newest person to the pod. Please, what do you want to keep it a bean about tonight?
America never abolished slavery, and it shows.
Ooh. Well, we just sitting right in it, huh? Say more.
I think when you think about just like what behaviors they criminalize and how that ends up for people to be, put in cages and then forced labor, and then that forced labor, if you choose not to do it, gets penalized, and then you add long time to you being in a cage. And then when you think about how so many things came out of just like people that were enslaved now trying to seek, livelihood in pursuit of happiness, how we ended up with security deposits for rent, all these other things, redlining and stuff like that. It shows that we truly didn't abolish slavery, that we just found ways to criminalize black behavior or other behaviors, to find ways to force them to do labor. Like the fact that we have to work for healthcare.
I don't want to talk about that.
Why is it attached to healthcare?
It should be a basic human right.
So therefore, it's not a force to work. Just to be healthy. We started this conversation about like, I'm able to see the dentist twice a year because I gotta work really hard. I can't just show up to the dentist without.
I had to earn that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, this
gotta
country
earn
don't
to
really
breathe.
believe in basic necessities.
Right.
It's not a belief system in this country. You have to earn everything. Earn.
It's just insane to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for that hot take. I appreciate you.
Wow, mine is gonna be a lot more ratchet.
Oh, period. Get into it.
Some parents would be doing their child a service if they were deadbeats.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'm not for no smoke. Go ahead.
You know what? Go ahead.
Well, go. No, what are you gonna say?
Because it's fascinating because in my mind, I'm like, yes, have a parent there all the time. But when I have some friends who are just like, no, a present parent who did not do their best feels just as harmful. And it is so fascinating because, like, for me, I only had one parent growing up. And, like, those who had two, I always immediately assume, like, your life is fundamentally better than mine because you have two parents. And so don't be selfish.
It's just different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to, like, unlearn that in college with my roommate where I'm just like, I don't understand why you're being so ungrateful, but plot twist, a lot of the time it is this idea that you're whatchamacallit, sometimes the parent even being present sometimes is not even like worth it because they just cause as much harm.
Yep.
If not more sometimes too. And so what does it look like to have to, I grieve the parent who was not present, but what does it mean to grieve a parent who is present?
Yeah.
And like what your expectations were. That I
Yeah.
like that.
I feel like a lot of times I see people debating about like the necessity of responsibility, which is real, right? Like if you co-create a child, you should be responsible.
Yes.
However, should is not an indicator of reality.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes in the name of trying to hold somebody accountable, we expose a child to more harm than they would be exposed to if we just let this person be whoever they have decided they not like that they gonna be. Because work is not inherent, right? Some of us choose to do the work to like be better folks, and some of us are just like, I'm gonna be whoever I am.
Yeah.
And for some of those people, because it's not a generalization, for some of those people, the best you, like that's beneficial to the child, might be the absent you.
Yeah. Oh wow, that was not ready for that take.
So yeah.
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 So y'all like in the education space, do y'all like see that with certain kids, like as far as just learning and stuff like that, where you meet the parent and you're like, oh, this is why
I get it.
child is like this, and like if maybe you weren't around like that, the child would learn more and appreciate school more.
Oh, that's such a hard thing to say.
Yeah,
because it's.
I feel the sentiment.
Yes.
I'll say that because I want to separate between like me stating something as an objective fact and like me feeling the sentiment. I have ran into children's parents where I felt that sentiment. I can't say whether that would be objectively true, but like that emotion has arisen in me.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean like, I won't say that. But yeah.
You know what? Because that's valid. We're going to hold it real quick. Can you slightly shift the camera? Come on. Turn it, yep, toward, no, back just a little bit, stop. Perfect. Thank you. No, I totally get that, like, in terms of, like, the sentiment piece, because I'm just like, you know what? I said, I get it. And
yeah, and
it's a hard thing because as educators, it's like, do we know more than the parent who is, like all that good stuff? Because the parent is an expert in who their child should be an expert in who their child is. And also as educators, I also recognize like we are also trained to be able to work with children and develop children and have to understand what is appropriate emotional development as well. And so if you're not looking at teachers as like co-conspirators in a child's development, I think sometimes not all parents have capacity, right?
Absolutely.
Like I was just having a conversation the other day, like my mom had 5 of us, a single parent with 5 kids. I'm sorry, like 20% going to each kid still may not be enough. So like those percentages may change based on like the need of the different children, but it's not like you'd be able to necessarily fully show up for every single one of them, every single one of the children, right? And so like how we experience childhood may look different, how parents show up may look different versus like a singular parent, right? And a singular child. Like you can be able to like give so much more within that. And so I think it's just like an interesting conversation to have of just like capacity, youth development, and how do educators also show up in the space? Because we're in service of the children.
And
right?
spend a lot of time with the children.
Yeah, we spent a work shift with them.
Yeah,
sometimes 10.
and you know, it's going back to what you were saying about like, in general, we are not given a skill set to be humanistic.
Yeah,
just like flat out.
Right.
Like a lot of what it means to be in community, which is like making the agreement that we are all in some shape or form responsible for each other's well-being.
Ooh,
right.
You took my hot take. Go ahead.
We're not trained on how to do that.
No.
And like that starts like at a very early age, right? Like all of our parents were raised in similar constructs as like what we are. And we can sit here and have these conversations because we chose to divest. Right? Part of that is also privilege because we had some space to divest.
Correct.
Right? Which, like, the further we go back in time, the less space there is for that, right?
Yes.
And a lot of divesting also requires imagination. I don't think it's a coincidence that most of the people who I know who have divested from these structures are also people who engage with their creativity on a regular basis, right? Because I can't strive for something that I can't imagine is present.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so all of that breeds a dynamic, and we see this regularly, where your child is not a human being.
Yeah.
They're a child. Right? Which is like somehow is like this subhuman level of existence.
Yeah.
And I think with educators, if they are educating effectively, they are viewing the child as a human. And so a lot of things can become more present to us than like the parent who sometimes is navigating a whole lot, who may be parenting from a space of convenience. And that's why, like, I feel like that's the whole, like, it takes a village thing, right?
Correct.
Because, like, theoretically, actually, I wouldn't even, objectively, I don't think any one person is equipped to raise a child individually.
Correct. Children require community.
Yeah.
It requires us to be able to show up in different ways.
Yeah.
The episode that I had with Sterling and Elijah, we kind of talked about this a little bit more. One of our good friends, he has a community of folks, bro.
Yeah.
Single, dad, child, and the ways in which he is able to evoke community is such a beautiful thing because the child will never know a life without.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
it is one of the dopest things. But oftentimes we think providing may look material-wise,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But in reality, it could be space, time, and effort. And how do we look at those things a little bit differently too? Which I love the point that you were even getting into around the creativity piece and the ability to divest, because I look at that through the art that y'all create.
Oh, you do this.
Especially-
That's
okay,
segue.
Stop playing with me. But what y'all take is an Afrofuturist approach. And even in that means to imagine a world where blackness is unlimited. It means to be able to create your own world and say, well, what is a world potentially devoid of white supremacy? And what do these politics begin to look like in that own space? For listeners, if you're thinking something around Afrofuturism, if I'm giving like a general pop culture take, think Black Panther, think Wakanda. Like, what does it mean to exist in that world where you were creating, right? And not necessarily at the mercy of white supremacy. And so I love. And for you children of blood and bone fans, too, give that a little bit more, you feel me? And so I think around what y'all are doing, because you're not only just doing that through writing, but y'all are creating graphic novels. And you talked around Immortal Dark when you first got here, but I would love to know a little bit more around, like, why is it for both of you Afrofuturism is the piece to like steep your artwork in?
For me, it has to do with accessibility. As a person that navigates so much of literary arts as, you know, being dyslexic, the first thing that comes to my mind is the image that I'm going to then narrate. So I want to give people so much of that image because I don't know how other people's brains work. I don't see the words on pages. I see the concept and the motion happening, and then I am just narrating it. And it helps me to memorize everything a lot better. And I want those that are non-readers, because maybe they're undiagnosed, or maybe they're just non-readers because they don't see a way in that feels easy. So therefore, graphic novels allows for that table read to occur because the images allow accessibility of just like, this is going to be easier on me than the dissonance that comes sometimes with just text. And therefore, I want to have more images for adults to just say, this picture gives me 1,000 words, and there's some text that gives me even a little bit more of the word count.
Yeah. I love that, because I've actually never heard it like that. Because oftentimes, especially with niggas, like they're like, if there ain't pictures in this, I ain't. You feel me? But I think it's for me, I think I'm a theater kid, and so I'm just like, no, for me, the words and building the world and building the set, and when you walk in, what book am I gonna put down here? What is gonna be in the background? Like all of that feels methodical to me because you're inviting people into the space, but they get to visualize the world that you want to create. Right now, the world I created is this is a cafe in my mind. Like we built this out, right? And I love that point of the accessibility piece because we don't often talk around that too. So thank you for just naming how your brain works a little differently than ours, but you're also creating an accessibility piece on top of that. So kudos to you, like even for like leaning into that, because I never thought around like the use of graphic novels or comic books in that sense.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why there's been a surge of graphic novels that have been nonfiction, where like you can get a graphic novel of the Black Panther Party.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a graphic novel of the Black Panther Party in my crib.
I mean, for my introduction to Black history was a graphic novel of Black history.
Yeah,
that's how I learned it, page to page. You know, going all the way up from like the 1500s to that graphic novel went to about 2004 to Obama being president. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this became so real to me.
And so you talked a lot around like the accessibility piece of everything too, right? And that's going to be important, especially because I don't think people even realize like Emory Douglas of the Black Panther Party created imagery in order for people to be able to understand. And that's somebody who is talking around a radical politic and wanting to ensure that everybody understood what does change mean and what is it going to look like. And so even the use of imagery to evoke an emotion and also change is important. And that's why I think what you two do in terms of like world building is important, because what we learned from your episode is that you were able to process your grief through building out this world and throughout telling this story. And so I'm wondering too, is like, did both of you, especially because y'all were roommates, right? Did both of you consciously just be like, nah, let's encourage each other to do graphic novels? Because both of you, well, first, did y'all both start out as poets?
Yeah.
No.
It was opposite.
I was a rapper.
You were.
Before I lived in Philly. You know what I'm saying?
He was spitting.
Playing with him.
Yeah.
So,
but
okay. So
in terms of my Philly life, yes.
Yeah.
We both were started as poets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting to me, because going from words and then building out into like the graphic novel space.
Yeah.
What was it like living together, and both of you, were you both building out your graphic novels at the same time?
Nah. I came first, like in terms of like.
So he's a light skin, you.
Like I was.
Look, I don't want no smoke. I'm just here, just vibing.
Well, I had started building out Immortal Dark before Immortal Dark was actually already public before we were roommates. But I do think. Yeah, like the accessibility of a thought partner, like shapes things.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Talk more about that, because I love that.
Yeah, so like there's a difference between like having to schedule a phone call versus being able to walk downstairs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like when we were living in the same space, I feel like a lot of the creativity kind of like compounded up like on top of itself, because we would just be flippantly talking about things that we were working on and also like flippantly offering up advice or critique. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it was like very informal, but also like very productive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think that space is interesting, especially as both of you are able to do that, because a relationship needs to be there.
Yeah.
Right? And so can you take me back to the first time both of you have like given advice and it was like, oh, I can finally like receive this? Because did it come out as just like it's unsolicited but like we hear anyways, or is it just like, hey, E, I'm looking for like you to put another set of eyes on this?
I don't even remember, because I feel like we was already trading off before we was
I
living
think
together.
I think because of the communities we came to, and you can chime in if you don't feel the same. You know, I came from, you know, when I was doing poetry, there was constant constructive criticism, how to do it well, how to build community around it. So there was already a practice inside of me of how to receive, even when it was unsolicited, because of the nature of the community I'm already around of other poets.
Right.
So just being in a relationship with Enoch, it did not feel abnormal because now we're building a friendship as well.
Right.
Because I was already saying stuff to him when I just recognized him as a poet I kept on seeing on the scene.
Yeah.
Because we're smithing together in a sense.
Yeah.
Like if
I ain't never hear it called that. That's awesome.
yeah, because it's like, yo, if I'm making swords and you're making swords, even though we 2 blocks away from each other, the fact that we're in community because we seen everybody walk around with our swords. So we just like, how do you sharpen it like that? Oh yeah, you need to warm it up a little bit more to do that. You know how I got this? So we're already doing that. And then it's like we're now moving in the house together, and now we're seeing how we do all the swords together. Like, oh, we seeing the sword collection together. We seeing the mechanics working together. So like that, it felt very natural, and we was just already in those communities of just like people giving us constructive criticism anyway.
Yes, and I don't care about everybody's advice.
Yeah.
Just like flat out.
That's valid.
Right? Like, you could be making a sword, but if you swinging your shit, and I'm like, nigga, your swordsmanship looking ass.
Yeah.
I don't care what you got to say about how I swing my sword, right? So, like, going back to what you were saying about the trust, I think prior to us actually having, like, a formal exchange, the trust comes in, like, the respect for each other's craft.
Right.
Like, being able to identify the talent and what is being done to be like, okay, if this person is offering something up, I'm going to listen because I think what they're doing themselves is is
you said real
valuable.
Recognize real. And
Real like
familiar.
essentially. Because like, and I don't know if this was true, but a lot of niggas offered me unsolicited advice when I was a poet.
Yeah.
And some of it was trash.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
Right?
Well, Enoch is more confident than me. I'm insecure, so anytime somebody says something, anytime somebody says something about me, I'm like, oh, well, you know, I got work on that.
Not me.
And Enoch is just like, I don't even like you.
Because to me, like,
that's interesting. And do you still feel that way?
Oh.
Like in terms of like being insecure?
Oh, definitely. Like, Enoch got to pull me all the time and tell me, like, you got to recognize the work you did.
Yeah.
And who are they? You know?
bro, for real. Because, like a broken clock is right twice a day is a real statement, right? And I just trust my spirit. I trust that I'll be able to know when that twice a day moment comes. But if I'm identifying you as a broken clock, I'm really pushing through things because everybody's advice is not coming from a space of like betterment, and it's also not coming from a space of like understanding your craft. Right? And I feel like there were a lot of poets who thought there was a specific way to poet, and a lot of the advice that was being given to me was based on their understanding of what their specific way to poet was. And I'm just like, nigga, I'm not you. Like, that's cute for you to do that over there. That's fine, right? But once you start prescribing to me, now I need to make sure you understand what I'm trying to accomplish because, like, I was raised in a house where, like, we say all help ain't good help. You know what I'm saying? So,
I think there's like layers to this because I'm also thinking about like, as you say that like a broken clock is only right twice a day. I'm also thinking about times I got bad advice, but I took something good out of it.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, like there's a time where there was a really popular poet, and I had did something on the mic that he didn't like, and he had pulled me to the side, and he was just like, "Man, you shouldn't do that. You sound desperate, like you really need money." And you want to always seem like you just like achieving it, and that's why people shouldn't invest in you, right? And I took that to heart, but then I was just like, you know what? If I lean into that a little bit more, of showing people how hungry and urgent these dollars are to help me out with my bills, it creates a humanized approach to me being accessible to receive more
dog,
grace.
You speaking to me. I had
the grace, so I can be human on stage of just saying, I have these successful moments, I have these failures, or even in success, there's not every box checked off. So like that really bad advice, I took something good out of it. And to me, I think that's why, to me, anytime someone says something to me, I do take it and weigh on it.
Yeah.
But what I take out of it is not always what they're prescribing.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. And that piece of advice to me is like super important. And thank you for reminding me of that, because it reminded me of like, don't be so grateful that you don't understand the power that you wield. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of them like, oh, I'm just so grateful. But I'm like, if I continue to say I'm so grateful, it almost to me feels I accidentally got to where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can have a lot of gratefulness and grace or whatever, gratitude. Damn, I was cooking. That words were cooking me. But I recognized like I even had to stop talking around like, oh, donate to this podcast type situation. No, you're making an actual investment into this black man, right? And like even looking at myself as an investment versus just being like more spare change. It made me move different because now I move as an active sentence. I don't move as a passive sentence anymore.
Absolutely.
Essentially. And so like I'm going after what I want. And so that makes me think around, especially like as you both are talking about this and you're able to like iron can sharpen iron and my sword can get stronger and sharper as it is. What was that like as you began to build Pawn Shop? Because we got to learn a little bit around more like what Immortal Dark was, but what was Pawn Shop like for you to develop that? And then, start there.
I think a lot of it was me recognizing that a lot of my process is being around people that's smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I knew that I was going to take on such a big project and I had signed to Row House, which is the publishing company that signed to me, I realized that I can't just be self-efficient and think I'm just going to will it through. I need to do all the community work that has got me to this point because I'm not self-made, I'm community-made.
Yeah.
And so therefore it was saying like, yo, Enoch knows a lot about the comic book process. He's often telling me things that I need to just like dial in. And then he had said an expression to me of just like, it was something about a fire and somehow like radical immersion. That's what you said?
I keep going.
She said, I believe you.
where it was just like, it was this moment of just like, it was something along the lines of just like, some people need trial by fire and they figure it out. And some people have radical immersion where, it seems like they're going to burn out, but they rise like the phoenix. Yeah. And therefore...
That sounds like some shit you would say.
Yeah. And therefore, they become the fire themselves as well as the person they was before. And so therefore, he was saying like, yo, this is a tall task. However, I do believe in your radical immersion of this because you're able to coordinate people around you to help you do this work. And, Rebecca, who is the head of Row House, I was like, man, why did you sign me to this deal? Why did you give me this money? Why you got all this stress on me? And she said, like, yo, I seen you coordinate things around you that you didn't know that well, and it worked really great for you. Yeah. So I trust you to figure out this process too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was like, once I had that, like, because like I said, I'm insecure, so I wasn't even trusting my own thoughts about it else. Yeah, I needed that external. So like for me, it was like regulating that insecurity and seeing how much of it was vile, and if it was vile, then who do I need to lean in? Yeah. Versus just like, no, I'm actually talking myself out of doing something good. Ooh. And therefore, I was like, no, I actually just need to lean on myself. So there's parts of it just like, hey, I'm going to do 5 pages today. I know I'm dyslexic. I know this is the tall task, but I have a process because I've developed all these tools of living with my dyslexia for a long time. Yeah. However, I know I'm still going to have grammar mistakes. Yeah. I know I'm still going to have omission of words, so that's why I'm giving 5 pages to Enoch, right? Yeah. To look over. That's awesome. To look over as my editor, and then I'm constantly sending pages to Rebecca to say like, yo, what do you think of this and stuff like that. So I've developed a process because my skill is not necessarily, this is going to say wild to say as a poet, I invest in visual poetics, meaning I see the idea and then I can narrate it. And therefore, I can also coordinate all the things because I already see it in motion. So I'm seeing a process that I need because I see the motion of the thing to get to the result. I can't always see the writing. And these are the people that are helping me with the writing. Yeah.
I just want to sit with that shit. Because I think that is so... That is awesome. What? Like... Sorry, I had to say with that. No, because that's such a beautiful story. Because I am in awe of how you speak of you and E's relationship and y'all's dynamic together. Not only just as friends.
Heard you call E.
Oh, people call me that all the time.
Yeah. I don't know why I started doing it. It just started kind of happening. I said, "Oh, it's too many syllables."
Yeah, nah, I feel that.
It's only
I
two.
feel that, yeah.
But I am loving this because not only is it two black men being able to just be able to be in the space of affirming each other, but also not only in the stuff that you produce, but also that emotional space too, right? Like it's not only just like, dang, this kind of insecurity is here. There's still a level of affirmation that is coming with the dynamic, and he was able to understand that. But you are also humble enough to know, like, nah, I know the world I'm building, but I know who I must employ in order to help me achieve that world too, which I think is sometimes hard for us because we're told, do this on your own, do this on your own, do this on your own. But nothing great comes without community, right?
Nobody is anywhere you don't even come in the world on your own.
Quite literally. Thanks, mama.
Yeah.
Sorry for the scars.
But like, it's not even just your mom though, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a room full of niggas delivering you, and then also ushering you somewhere, right? And so it's like the whole concept. Any nigga that tell you that they self-made is a nigga that's not giving credit to a bunch of folks.
Yeah.
In my personal
you better
opinion.
cite your sources.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think that's interesting because it kind of brings together like that, the mental health piece and the communal piece. And I guess where I would love for y'all both to be able to go is like you talked around going into publishing, but you're still independent, correct?
Yeah.
And so like, how do you see that as a different process for you personally in this moment?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out which entry point to use. One of the things that I really value about our friendship is that we can have hard conversations without like that shit leading to like some type of fallout.
Yeah.
Because
I clocked that as soon as y'all both were able to remove ego from your creative processes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I in general like personally struggle with the fact that I feel like I'm always taking the steps.
Yeah.
Right. I also partially struggle with that because a good amount of times it's my choice to take the steps.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like a cycle of like I take the steps, but then I get tired of the labor of being on the steps.
Yeah.
But then like the things I gotta do to be on the elevator, I'm not willing to do.
Yeah.
Right. But then when I see a nigga get on the elevator, I'll be annoyed, even if I think that shit is worth it.
Yeah.
And so like, we had a conversation of just like I'm proud of you, and also I'm annoyed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I've been very privileged over the past year to talk with like a lot of industry folks from like people who have written for Marvel and DC.
Yep.
I literally just like finished the animation script writing class with David Weiss.
Huge.
And like a bunch of other folks, and like also seeing Lindo's process. It's shifted how I think about that a lot, in the sense that like kind of like to I guess bring it full circle, going back to like what you were saying about like how you used to feel about people with two parents.
Yeah.
And like now I don't necessarily view it as privilege.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Right.
Right? Because he has issues I don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Right? Ain't nobody controlling my release date.
Right.
My shit come out when it come out.
I'm so sorry.
You know what I'm saying?
That was crazy. Hold that. Are you able to start taking out some of the chairs so it just gives the illusion that we're...
But that's, you know, that's not shade, because also, like, he don't got to pay for his shit all out of pocket.
Yeah.
Right? It's just different issues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And neither side is better or worse than the other. It's just about, like, what we have access to and what we prefer to be doing.
Yeah.
Which, like, now makes me feel like it's all lateral.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I'm spending mad time working on this shit, and he's spending mad time working on this shit.
Right.
And so it's like, if we both, at the bottom line, are still doing the same thing,
Right.
it doesn't take away from, like, the privileges.
Yeah.
But it does make me hesitate to call it like privileged as a whole, because I think those two things are different,
Very
right? Like we
so.
can have privileges, but that doesn't make us privileged.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that has also kind of like reshaped my relationship with being independent, and I'm in like a cocoon space right now where I'm absorbing a lot. I'm like recontextualizing how I'm thinking about a lot of things. And I don't want to say it's like giving me gratitude per se, because I think that was already present. But I think it is like making me think more intentionally about what my direction is.
Ooh.
Like what am I actually, because if you had asked me like at the beginning of last year, I would have said like I really want to write for other people.
Yeah.
Like I would love to get paid to write other niggas comics
awesome.
while like doing my own thing. Now I don't know if I feel that for real.
Yeah.
And like I'm also even rethinking whether I want to even be like in a Western market, or if I want like being a Western market to be a byproduct of like Immortal Dark's expansion. Because I do write in a anime and manga style. Like that, how my stories are structured are very much not like structured like Western comics. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a way in which like, while there are things that, and this is kind of like some of the things that came up while I was in class as well, while there are things I can take from all of these people who are established and like learn, because there are lessons in everything, I'm also like, maybe this isn't the space where my work will be nurtured the most.
That's valid.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I get there without all of these things combined, like talking to the industry folks, taking the animation screenwriting class, having a first-person experience of like what it's like to have a publisher for a graphic novel. Like all of these things coalesce into like all the shit that I'm processing now, essentially.
Which is awesome. And so thank you for like both naming those pieces, because I think oftentimes as writers, we don't know the different options that can exist and like those choices that are made, right? So each person is going to individually experience their own journeys. And I guess like the last part that I would love for y'all to both kind of talk around is one, talk a little bit more and let the people know, especially as they learn a little bit more about you and your process. What is Pawn Shop about?
Well, Pawn Shop is a graphic novel where universal healthcare exists. And
Imagining the world.
Gang.
Universal healthcare exists, and emotions are regulated by two social workers. Emojis that are regulating happiness and sadness. And then Cupids that are getting rid of dating apps and helping people to deal with breakups and deal with just parents in general. So therefore, we're having a conversation in Pawn Shop of, is there an overreach? Because now we can identify the emotions of each other, and we're regulating it to build a better community as a part of a Universal Healthcare Act. Because we recognize mental health, emotional well-being is universal healthcare as well. And then there's also a conversation of just like, now that we can really see each other's emotions and we know that we can, take care of each other or take from each other. Are we doing things to just pawn emotions from each other?
Ooh, is relationships transactional? I'm so excited for that. And honestly, I wanted people to be able to get to know that a little bit more, especially as we begin to end out this episode, because we got to hear the dynamics, we got to hear the art, we got to hear the rationale, but we also get to hear the product too, right? And that piece I think is super, super important. And so, one, I want to thank both of you for being able to come into this space. And one, talk around like your dynamic, because I think the coolest part and unexpected part was like, oh, y'all make so much sense together as friends, but as creatives and as thought partners too. We don't often get to see that. And so thank y'all for one, being able to share that piece. This is not going to be the last time I see either one of you on this platform.
I'm trying to be a regular.
You said try.
Yeah, you need a co-host,
Please,
what I'm
come
saying?
on regularly, please. Like, we can make this a monthly rotation. Okay?
I'm also trying to get on here and not talk about comics.
Oh, you know what? Also that too.
Yeah, I'll be doing all this other shit too.
He
Yeah,
truly does, y'all. It's a renaissance man.
No gas though. No gas.
He don't got to talk shit. I'm talking shit for him. But truly and honestly, like, yeah, let's definitely get on here, rap about some other stuff too. But I want to say thank you both for coming on here. Thank you for the patience and flexibility y'all had tonight as well. I owe y'all a drink. Thank you both. Well.
Well, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
A ginger beer.
I realized that as soon as I said we can go out to eat. Love Front Street Cafe.
Hey, let's go.
Okay. So thank y'all for coming on. Let the people know where they can find you, and then we'll get out of here.
Pawn Shop is available for pre-orders right now. You can get it wherever you buy books at. So that means, vote, buy it with your values. I'm not here to compromise people's values. I just want you to really read and enjoy this book because it was such a long journey on this project, and I just want people to read and tell me their thoughts about it. So if you want to support your local bookstore, you can go to bookshop.org, put your local bookstore in there, and then look me up, and they still get the sale of Pawn Shop. But, Amazon, Target, all those stuff, Book and Mill, Barnes and Noble.
Wherever you want to buy.
Wherever you want to buy. And also Instagram, LindoYes, LindoYes. And, that's me.
And you can also just go to lindoyes.com/pawnshop.
Period.
To see all the places that Pawn Shop is available for pre-order. I'm Enoch on IG at Enoch the Poet, which I want to change my IG name, but we keep doing interviews where I'm saying my current IG name, and so I feel like I can't change that shit yet. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. If you remember anything about the manga, you can check that out at Immortal Dark Manga on IG. Links to anything that I have for purchase is always in my bio. So I have a poetry book that's out right now called I Was Close. And I'm actually partnering with a really dope Philadelphia artist, Ben Passmore, to translate 3 of the poems in the book into comic strips. So look out for that. Also support the book. And then 3 chapters of Immortal Dark are out right now. The 4th chapter is about 50% done illustration-wise, so that should be out within the next couple months. But yeah, catch me on IG.
Yo, thank you so much for being here. It ain't gonna be the last time, to be honest. I like this fun dynamic because I enjoy this. Okay. Alrighty, y'all. So I will see you next time. Please make sure to like, subscribe, leave a rate and review. I will see you next week. Peace.